So, hello and welcome. On a very, very regular basis, Bec and I have very in-depth, deep conversations. And often at the end of these conversations, we are both kind of like, oh my gosh, we should have recorded that. So we just decided to do this as a podcast. So we are just going to have one of our conversations that we would have and invite you to join in, invite you to comment on stuff. But there is so much. We live in a world right now where there is so much going on. And so okay, let's just get going, shall we? Let's
So
just
the minute the minute you press record, Deb, I remembered what question two was. So I'm going to ask it
go.
because I want to check it. My lighting, I'm aware I sit right by a window and then the other side of the room is quite dark. Do you want me to do anything different with my lighting? I can switch a light on, I can pull the curtain, or
It,
let me know as we go through.
yeah. At the moment, it looks okay to me. So if
I'm
that,
like one of those evil geniuses or
well,
something.
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Let me know
So
if at any point
this
it.
is how Bec and I chat to each
Yeah.
other. So you're going to get it all. You're
It
going to
is.
get the whole the chit chat.
Yeah, you are.
So
Yeah.
just before we started, you kind of said, "Oh, I'm diving off to the loo."
Yeah.
So while you were at the loo, I had my phone and I was just listening.
I bought
So,
my Bible. I don't even know why.
oh well, yeah, good.
Well, I
That's
do know why actually, so I'll share that
brilliant,
in a minute.
brilliant. So I was actually, it just came up. I was actually on Facebook, and it came up. The guy I'm interviewing, a guy later on today,
Yeah,
called, let me get his name right, Alok Apajuri. Um,
nice.
and right now, at the moment, he's putting some quite, I guess, basically, he's putting stuff on Facebook and he is owning that this might get him, people who have been friends with him for years disagreeing with him, all of these kinds of things. And I definitely think that's a sign of the times that
Yeah,
we are living in. And then,
yeah.
interestingly, so we've been having that, me and you've been having that conversation. And then this thing that he's done came up, and the title of it, shush. I keep Yeah, can you hear? See, I'm not
Tell us
looking.
stuff
I'm not.
sorted, can't you?
What do you say? Listening to your calling will likely be. Oh, let me. I mean, this really is unfiltered, isn't it?
I was going to say, should we just play him and we'll sit back and listen instead? Come on, Deb, what did he say?
Listening to your calling will likely be the biggest leap of faith you will ever make.
Yeah,
And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to record these conversations, because there is definitely something in me. I am being called to share things that up until now I think I have been a little bit reserved in sharing and a little bit scared. And some of the conversations, like we will have really deep conversations, and then we'll record for YouTube or we'll do something, and there'll be bits that we won't share on there because
yeah.
that there it's too big a leap of faith. It's too big a leap of faith. And I
There's
am done with not making those big leaps.
Yeah, and there's definitely something for me, and I wanted to start my what I'm saying today with this because I know one of our things recently has been being honest with ourselves, with God, with the people in front of us. So I'm going to start from there for me and say, I notice how easy it is the minute we press record to step into a bit more of a lie identity, like we talk about lie identities and God entities and kind of that comparison.
Yes.
And it's not even that we necessarily intend it to be that way, but like you say, we will get on a call, you and me, and it might be I've got a list of things we've got to figure out for what we're doing with the business. It might be, I have a one-to-one session with you fairly regularly now, or it might just be oh my gosh, Beck, I've discovered this, or oh my gosh, Deb, I need to, and we are completely unfiltered with each other. And for background, in case anyone's sort of not come across us or has missed this point, we are auntie and niece. Deb's the auntie, in case you can't tell them. Some people think we're sisters, but
You
auntie and
can
niece.
have aunties and you can have aunties that are actually younger than their
And I
nieces.
don't find that offensive. I think you're
Yeah.
very
I am quite a bit
yeah,
older
I think
than Meg.
yeah, you're 20 years older, which isn't massive, but I think yeah, I think that's a compliment to me. But so we know each other very well. So whenever we get on a call, it is unfiltered. But I have noticed, and partly this is, it's been a business decision, and there's times when this is right. When we press record, we do kind of step into a slightly different presentation mode, as it were, or whatever.
Mm.
But I know it's in my mind to be aware of that, like when we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
calls. Today I'm really like, right, I've got to kind of almost be aware of being aware. I mean, like, you don't have to filter that, Bet. You can just say it how it is. Just fling it out there, just, So one of the things that's just happened as we were sitting here, so I'm going to share this because I end up with little ideas in my head. Oh, I must tell Deb that. I actually have a clipboard over on the side of my desk where I write a load of stuff down, and every time we meet up, don't I, Deb? I go through my little clipboard of things. I haven't got my clipboard today, but
Well, that would have been so much fun.
next one of our other unfiltered, I'll bring
Yeah,
my
we
clip.
absolutely should. Yeah, Beck's clipboard.
Um, I did scribble a couple of things like, oh, something Deb said last night on the last one of our 6-week calls. There was something you said, and I nearly said this on the call last night, but as is often the case, there's quite a few people that like to share, and as I always have a lot to say if you give me the space, so it feels nice to let our paid people get their space. So I didn't say this last night, but I might bring it up. So I've written down about 3 things that I'm like, oh, I'm desperate to tell Deb and update Deb about these things. So I've already got an agenda of
Oh, I
stuff that I
love
want
it.
to.
I love it. I love it.
And there is a reason why I brought my Bible. I love my Bible. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
If we are being unfiltered, 100% there is something for me about the feel of my pages.
Yeah. That Bible, that it's a particular, there's no other book like a Bible, is there? There's no other book.
Me,
And I
no,
guess a
really.
part of the Unfiltered is to talk about that. We do talk a fair bit about the Bible, and I think
Yes.
um neither one of us, we did have a religious upbringing, but neither one of us are religious now, but we have a massive, massive interest in the Bible. So part of what I was talking this morning, so at some point the interview, I hope it'll go well, and I hope the interview will with Alok will be out there.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I reached out and asked him, could I do an interview with him on and we were just talking because neither one of us really know him, but one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to him was because he said he's bringing God into what he is doing.
Yeah.
He's doing something called Uplift Millions or something, and he's bringing God into that. And one of the things that I am really seeing in the work that we're doing. So if anyone is listening to this and they don't know about the lie identity, the my identity, and the God entity, drop a comment. And if we can get in touch, if we can find an email address for you or something, I'm more than happy to send those. I made a series of videos about that. More than happy to send those videos out. Just sharing what that is, how we see that, because I honestly think we are in the middle of an identity crisis. And then just before we got on this, we were talking, one of the things we were saying. So in our household, as Beck said, we're auntie and niece. And when we were growing up, certainly when, I grew up, and I know Beck was born into this, we the religion that we were a part of was a Bible-based religion, and which is why we both love our Bibles and reasonably know our Bibles, not inside out or anything, but reasonably have a reasonable know our way around the Bible a little bit.
Yes.
And I remember listening to my dad and listening to various groups of people. And when I went to youth club and various places, they would talk about Revelation, and they would talk about the end of time, and they would talk about the signs that we would see that these things were happening. And very much, I'm not one. I haven't been listening to the news for years. When I can't remember when it was when I sort of had my spiritual awakening, for want of a better way to say it. I stopped listening to the news because it was just frightening me. And so I haven't listened to the news probably for 20 years or so. I don't know, a long time anyway. And I definitely, because of the religion we grew up in, we weren't allowed to get involved in politics, were we?
No, it's not. Yeah, it wasn't. Weren't we? The phrase that we were kind of brought up with, which actually still makes a lot of sense to me in many regards, is we are in this world, but not of this world. Like our hearts, as it were, belonged to God, not worldly kind of considerations. And I mean, maybe that's a whole nother unfiltered topic for another day because there's so much
I
to
don't know.
say.
Maybe we need to. What does that even mean? Yeah.
That, yeah, I mean, I certainly how I understood that when I was younger, I think I understand that quite differently now, but the statement in and of itself still means something to me. And so I think as certainly like because we're 20 years apart, I think we had slightly different experiences of Sunday school
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But nonetheless, I think the religion in and of itself, it's not you're not encouraged to be involved in politics in terms of voting or that kind of thing. But that said, certainly it felt to me like a lot of our like church-based family were very aware of what was happening politically because they were interested in what that was telling them, what they understood from Bible prophecy.
Mm, yeah. But
So
I think I just grew up with no awareness of politics. I had no
yeah,
idea,
yeah, I
I
felt the
didn't
same actually.
just, yeah, I
Yeah.
just had no awareness. And so I think that is a relatively recent
Mm.
thing. I don't think I'm even aware of politics now, really. But obviously, as I said, but I did grow up hearing people talk about signs for the end of times. And so I guess
Yeah.
those kinds of things were political things, what's going on in Israel, all of that kind of stuff would be talked about. So there was some interest in that. Um, and one of the reasons that I mentioned this guy, um, Alok, is that thing that he said this morning that, one of the scariest things that might happen to you is being asked to step into your calling. And I'm
Yeah.
really feeling, definitely on that last course that we did, I can really see um there is incredible power here. One of the things for me, and this is going to happen here, is God speaks to me. I hear God, and I can hear God. When I'm talking, I can feel the energy shift as God came into that conversation. Up until this minute, that's been all me. Literally, as I said, there's a shift in my energy, and I can feel God there.
I
And
feel it when you shift. I
yeah,
can as
I
well.
can I can feel that every cell of my body can feel there is a calling happening here, and there is something, and I guess that's why I don't even know what to say. My words are coming out or whatever. But this is these are the kinds of conversations we have, and then we get some
Yeah.
clarity. But
Yeah. Yeah.
last night on the call that we were on, there just felt like something at the end of that. Someone actually said to me, "Has God got any words for us while we're ending this?" And in that moment, it was kind of like, "No, God, where are you? No." And it's
Yeah.
then the temptation to make something up
Yeah.
myself was very, very
Yeah.
strong. But we just got
Yeah.
onto another question, and then whilst we were on this other question, honestly, really strongly, what came through me was there is something incredibly powerful happening here that is a calling that needs to happen, that needs to be spoken out. So for me, definitely a part of this, a part of these conversations, this is a part of that calling. It's like, yeah, there's some shifts and some stuff going on here. And when we look at our history, when we look at things like what happened with Hitler in World War II and those kinds of things. I think one of the things that I've heard my whole life is bad things happen when good people look away. And there is definitely, I have no desire to deeply dive into politics, and I don't think that's what it is or any of those kinds of things. And um, I can really see that actually it does us no good. From my history, from all the stuff that I've been through, I can feel the shift. And God,
I'm like, I know when you've got that's what I call your God laugh. God saying something inside your head when you do that laugh.
and I can really see. Okay, I can see that this whole get into your calling. What I'm really finding is a lot of what has been happening over the intervening years. The all of the years in a non-healthy, well, not healthy relationship. All of that, I can see. Right, okay, this is the calling now. This is what you have learned from there, and what I can see is I have discernment about when I am becoming part of the problem and when I am grounding myself in what is true that can be helpful. So I can see sometimes I watch people and I have conversations sometimes with people who, with everything that's going on, are terrified. And I know for us, one of the things that we do well, that I really appreciate you for,
Yeah.
is right, okay, this person has been terrified. I've got to have a conversation with them. Can we talk about who
Yeah,
I am,
we did
grounding?
today, didn't we? A really nice conversation about
Yes.
a client that yeah, that you kind of got a, and I know what I would say if it was you, Bec. I know what I'd say to you. But can I say this to that client?
Yeah.
And definitely us having these conversations is about reaffirming that grounding and kind of going, yes, you can say that, because ultimately that's why a client, you know, engages with you, because they want to know what it is that you know that's helpful. They want to hear, like, this actually leads me really nicely into one of the things I said. I was going to say last night, and it didn't end up being the moment for it. So you last night, you may recall, on the what's it called, Seek Ye First course, you were talking about and you were sharing something that I know you have long held a terrified belief about sharing, which is that you sat there and said, nothing that I share is mine. It's God, it's Sydney Banks, it's Byron
Oh,
Katie, it's Eckhart Tolle, it's, and you listed it, and there's way more people that you've listened to and you kind of
yes.
said, nothing that I share is coming from me. Um, and kind of what I heard in that, and is, or what I wanted to reflect back, is the paradox of that is that it's 100% who you are. Like when you said a minute ago about your purpose, and we reference God entities, like the thing in that for me was, that's both true and not true, in the sense of, again, you said last night, Bec always kind of reminds me, because I say to Bec, listen to this YouTube or read this book, and I go, nah, I just want to hear what you want to, what you've heard and what you say. And a few times you shared stuff. I know Neville Goddard was one of the people you listened to and
Yeah.
read stuff for quite a while. And then you would go and listen to this, Bec. And I tried a few times to read and listen to a few things, and was like, that's not what it sounded like when you said
Yeah.
it.
And Jamie Winship, when I,
Yes.
a
Yeah,
lot,
I tried Jamie's book and couldn't get
yeah,
into it.
there's
And it's
so
like,
much for me around identity, so
yes,
much,
yes,
and the way that
yeah,
Jamie speaks about identity just blows my mind.
yeah.
And yet again,
I
I'm
tried
going,
to
you
read his
need, and it
book
was like,
and
no,
just didn't.
yeah,
But
mm,
when you talk about it, so it isn't, nothing you're sharing is yours, but as soon as you share it, and your God entity, a part of that is the interpreter. And that's kind of what I really saw last night when you were sharing it. It's like, paradoxically, it's 100% yours, because when I hear you speak and then I go and pick up that book or try and listen, they're not saying what you're saying, and they might be saying what you're saying, because of course there's the paradox. They're saying
yeah,
exactly the same thing, they're not saying the same thing. But there was something for me in that, you've brought up kind of calling and purpose and God entity, and that element of, that is massively what we're interested in right now, like
yeah.
really moving into
And
what
one of the
God.
things I've been having conversations, interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things I've been having conversations with God about is this. It's like I get really scared
Yeah.
about that, exactly
Mm,
like I shared last
mm,
night. It's I get so excited and share what I share, and
yeah,
sometimes I feel, or okay, afterwards when I get off, I feel I could go into
yeah,
guilt and shame within myself. It's like, oh my gosh, you didn't share this person's name, and you didn't share that,
yeah,
you read this, or you listened to this person, or you did it. And I mean, the amount of stuff that I listen to, the
yeah,
amount of
like,
stuff, it would be in one sense crazy. But then I can also see the whole, one of the things for
yeah,
me stepping into my calling and stepping into this is being more authentic and being more honest. And
mm,
one of my fears, and has been, as a people pleaser and all of those, and I want people to like me,
yeah,
one
yeah,
of my fears, and one of the things, one of the holes that I can fall down in is um not giving other people credit for stuff, because I'm
mm,
scared that if I give someone else credit, that nobody will like me anymore.
yeah,
And definitely to step into my calling, and this is, absolutely, this is a huge part of what we talk about and share with our clients. It is
yeah,
you've got to be honest with yourself and honest in your own shortcomings. So
Mm.
actually, right now, even sharing this, there's a little bit of a thing going on
Yeah.
inside me about, oh, what this, oh. But that's the point of it, I think. And it's not, you can really see over the years that everything you do brings you to where you are. So I was a sewing teacher for many, many, many years. And
Yeah.
one of the things, when I first started being a sewing teacher, I was doing lessons with people, and I really thought that I had to know everything.
Mm.
And I'd been sewing for years, before I became a teacher. So I did know quite a bit because I'd done quite a lot of it. And then I showed up to these lessons, and luckily it was a few weeks in, and the people had got to know me, and we'd got a little bit of a rapport, and it was all going well. And then someone asked me a question about it was actually about patchwork, which I've done tons of, but this time I'd done a lot more dressmaking and curtain making and not much patchwork. And someone asked me, and it was okay for me to say, do you know what? I don't know that, but I can find out for you. And that was a huge lesson to me as well. And I
Yeah.
and I think this is, we get those lessons and we learn things more deeply, don't we? And I think that's the same kind of thing. This whole, I have to know everything. I can't have got it from anywhere else.
Yeah.
I have to have completely magicked that out of the air from somewhere.
Yeah. Good luck with
Totally,
that.
and
Yeah.
you can see that all of the conversations, if we go back to this, your upbringing, who you, the household you were born into, the conversations you overhear from as a child,
Yeah.
a huge, we're influenced by loads and loads and loads of things.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and in one sense, that's
Can't
how,
untangle that.
yeah. So what is ours in that sense? What we do
Yeah.
we? So,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
absolute clearance, there are loads of people that I listen to, and some
Yeah.
I've listened and listened and listened and listened to have had a real impact on me. And then
Mm.
I've kind of gone, I've learned what I need from that and
Yes.
taken what I need from that, and that isn't making sense to me, and how they see it isn't. So I guess
Yeah.
that's my interpreter bit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And that, like, it does strike me like how would you even untangle, like, because yes, you can, I flippantly kind of said, oh, Neville Goddard, because for some reason that's one of the ones that stays in my head very clearly when I try to read his stuff. I can't, I'm not, this is an opinion. This is not a don't read his stuff. This might really light someone else up. But I could barely get through the title of it, let alone. And there Deb was kind of spouting this most profound and beautiful and impact. We had some of the most impactful conversations when you were reading and listening to Neville's stuff. And it's like, if you hadn't have told me that's where it had come from, I would never have recognized that in reading or attempting to read. Whereas other stuff, like you start to quote a Bible verse and I can finish it for you because I'm very familiar with it. So it is how do you even unentangle what is what? And half a sentence that Neville said, coupled with a paragraph that you read from Byron Katie 10 years ago, connects and whew. So it's,
yeah.
even that, it's like, how would you? I mean, maybe we could not untangle it, but one of the things that happens to me very regularly is Deb, as your executive PA and stepping into my God entity, a little idea will pop in my head. And as we were talking about that, I suddenly saw a page on our website called references. So we're going to sit down and go, right, let's think of everyone that you would genuinely say, having read them or watched them or listened to them,
It's had an
it's
impact to
impacted you.
change something.
So we're
Yeah.
going to come up with a
And
web page and we're going
that's a
to
really, yeah.
reference a load of it, and not even from a space of that really felt clean and clear in me. Oh, this is the next thing to do on this. Not from fear of, oh, we must, acknowledge every
No,
single. I have no idea if we'll remember every single
no,
reference and
yeah.
stuff, but some of the really key ones. I think we're going to let's build a reference page on our website. I love that idea. That,
Perfect.
can you
And
see, that lights me up. I'm a
can I,
gatherer. I'm a
yes,
collector.
you are, you
That
are.
excites me. Let's gather everybody.
So I've got tingles right now because one of the conversations that like the invitation from God is inviting me to step into things. I know that. I really know that. That is
Yes.
clearly coming through me. I'm very aware of that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of definitely some of the things I'm like, "Yeah, that's a bit of a no from me. I don't know." And then in other ways, I'm definitely the invitation to go into guilt and shame about not being good enough in various ways. And one of the conversations that I have been having with God over this last few days is this particular conversation. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't talk about where who I listen to and where I get enough. I am ashamed that I don't share the people who influence me. And it's like, so I can't do this. I can't do what you're asking me to do.
Influencers, not references. Carry on.
There you go. And it's like, and
Love it.
then I was saying to God, okay, this needs to be made right then. If I am going to step out in this way, this needs to be made right. So we just had this conversation, and God is like, okay, leave it with me. We'll make that right. I had zero intention. I did not, as you know, this conversation is just
Genius.
unfolding. This is just unfiltered.
Genius. And
But
that just
this,
landed in my
yeah.
head.
And
Like when
all
you,
of this, the fact that
yeah,
this came up at all, the fact that we had this conversation about this,
just going to plug in my light. Carry on. I can hear you.
it's like, oh my gosh, I
Love
asked
that.
God to make that right, and
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
power that we are like leaning into. So I said to God, all right, I can do that, and
Yeah.
it's blowing my mind
Yeah.
that this is the conversation that's ensued, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm saying to God, yeah, I love what you're asking me to step into, but I can't. And then saying, because this is an obstacle. And he's going,
Yeah.
okay, watch me get rid of that obstacle. Bish,
And
bash, bosh.
even like when that landed in my head, I nearly didn't share it because I have like a bit like you. It's like, oh no, don't tell Deb you want to do that. She'll think, well, that's a boring waste of time gathering a load of names on a web page. And it just came out my mouth as you
Tell
noticed.
you.
It wasn't. And they are the kinds of things to me when we're talking God entity and calling. Like, so I flippantly said then, I'm a gatherer, I'm a collector. My God entity is I am the glue that binds. And within that, gatherer and collector, I'm just going to go off at a slight tangent here. When we look at the meanings of our names, Rebecca means to bind or to tie. So I'm the glue that binds. Sheffield, my surname, comes from sheaf fields, where people gathered and collected the sheaves from the field. What? So I'm a gatherer collector. Isn't
It
that
blew my
amazing?
mind as well. All the whole time when we're looking into this, like the whole identity piece is just,
It's
I
massive.
know for me, the identity piece is so big because
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of my problems all of the stuff,
Mm,
my big thing is I daren't be me. And
yeah.
this conversation, this whole sharing this, it's again, it's a fear thing that comes up in me because I'm not good enough. So if I mention anyone else's name, everyone is going to turn their back on me so quick because I'm just not good enough. It's more fear-based stuff,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is.
100%. 100%.
So my God entity is the breaker of unhealthy cycles. And so like looking at that, the amount of unhealthy cycles that I have lived in, but
Yeah.
it means I know them inside out. I recognize them. I
Yes.
recognize them in myself. And I guess this is like, right, you've got to clean them all out now.
Yeah. 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 And how perfect to then in comes your executive PA, whose God entity is to gather and collect, and immediately goes, oh, I'm going to gather up all the people that have impacted you, all your influencers, and put them on a web page on our website. Because then it does mean, like, I know one of your things is it's not, you don't intentionally not reference people. I mean, obviously, if there's fear, you might hold that back. But actually, half the time, it's like, I can't even remember who I got this from. And it won't be one specific, it will be
No,
a
there definitely are.
accumulation of
Yeah,
this. So if we've got a space on our website that says, here's all the influencers, here's anything we do in our business is because somewhere in the mix, Deb and or Bec, and it's a combination, a fair amount of the people that you have read and listened to, I have as well, apart from Neville Goddard. Um, Because I do. I love reading. So there's a lot of people I have read and listened to and heard from. So we can come up with a really beautiful um list, a gathering of these are our influencers. And it might be over the next 6 months, people suddenly pop, oh, we forgot to reference so and so, or and
Yeah.
we can keep
No,
coming
that
back to
sounds
that.
good.
I
That
think
sounds
that's
perfect. And what a really,
a
really lovely
resolution.
way
Mm,
to clean that
clean
out.
that up
Yeah,
and
and
to
do it.
work with
Yeah.
our
So
good
yeah,
entities. Yeah.
I'm really excited to do.
Might have to be when we come back from Viva.
We're off to Spain.
Watch this space. Yay! Talking of which, that brings in beautifully. I want to share. So, one of the other things I wanted to share that happened for me. So, I think we had a workshop at our I live in a farmhouse that Deb used to live in, and we had a workshop here on Sunday. And during that workshop, Deb was talking, and I had to run off to the toilet. And while I was off in the toilet, I had a little moment with God where I was like, God, I want to be more like co-conspirators. I want to bring you into stuff more. I notice that I tend to do that a day later or an hour later or 3 weeks later. Oh, I should have asked God about that. So I was kind of having this chat as I ran up to the toilet and back. I'd really like to bring you in more to my, into my awareness and my mind before I tackle something, think about something, go out and do whatever. It doesn't matter, anything, before I sit down for dinner, before I drive my car, before
Mhm.
any of the things. And as I came back into the room, Deb was sharing, you were talking about, well, you didn't, I think Adam and Eve came up a bit later, but what you were talking about as I walked into the room was making decisions with God by your side. And I was just
Yeah.
like, there it is. So we then sat and had this whole conversation
Yeah.
about decisions and God. And then, so that was Sunday. Then I didn't feel very well Monday. That's a Monday was kind of a bit of a wipeout day. But Tuesday morning, I sat with God. Like, I have a little rocking chair in my office lounge space, and I sat with God.
Whose
uh,
chair? Whose
it's
rocking
it's
chair?
your it's your rock. Most of the furniture in my house belongs to Deb. Talking of acknowledging where things come from, most of the furniture in my house belongs to Deb. So I was sitting on my Deb's rocking chair, and talking to God. I'm really kind of saying same thing again. Like, I want to, before I approach anything, please can I please make me more aware of you, because I know it's like I do it too late. I do it an hour after I've made a decision or whatever. So I was talking to God Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday morning, we were coming up to the point where I had the next round of bills to pay in our homes and business and such. And so Wednesday morning, I sat with God again and sort of said, okay, here's a very specific. I've remembered to come to you before. Today I've got to sort out the next round of bills. Show me what and where, and I kind of, in my mind, I think I'd worked out we'd got about £20 in the business account, and the bills were going to come out a little bit more than that. So I was kind of, okay, God, come on then. What have you got for me? And so I'd had that conversation, and I sat down at the desk and kind of logged into the bank. And to my absolute delight, there was £800 in the business account. I was like, oh, thank you, God. That was really kind. And what happens for me then is, because I do love, like, I'm a spreadsheet person. I'm everything we've just talked about, and this about me, Deb. I love then to go, oh, I'll put that money there. I'll do this. I'll pay that. I'll do. And sometimes that is so exciting, it's almost urgent. And and I've done it. And I noticed as I sat down with that £800 and thought, right, I should talk to, and before the thought had even come into my mind, I should talk to God about this. I was about to sort all the money, and I had this need to go to the toilet. And I
Seems
watched
to be a
myself.
theme. Seems to be a theme.
It's almost like God's using the pulses in my body to slow
Mm.
me down. And I even watched myself go, oh no, I can wait. I'll do the money and then go to the toilet. And again, this kind of thing came through, go to the toilet. And as I walked off to go to the toilet, I knew inside me, I was like, oh, I was about to sort all that money out without asking God how I should spend it and where it should go. Because I'd got about three different ideas of what to do with that money. and it would only cover one of the ideas, not all three. And so then there's this, oh, but if I do that, I can't do this. So I went off to the toilet and kind of felt that moment of, right, this is you. You asked God to slow you down and
Yeah.
make sure he comes into these decisions.
Yep.
So then I kind of sat back at the desk after I'd been to the toilet and kind of went, okay, God, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put those three ideas as my proposal, and I'm not going to do anything for 24 hours
Oh,
because
wow.
I know, and genuinely for me, that's massive.
Yes, I know. I know
Yeah,
you.
really. I
Yeah.
mean, as it happened, there was no bills that needed, there's nothing that had
Yeah.
to come out of the bank officially until tomorrow. So I had enough. And even that was like the timing of that, because sometimes it is the way the money works. It's like, actually, this bill is going out tomorrow. So it does need doing today in the kind of practical outworking of
Yeah.
it. But in this instance, like, actually, there's nothing that's coming out until tomorrow. So I
So,
sat,
yeah. So
let
what
off.
I want to really pull out of that
Yeah,
is
go on. What did you?
again this whole. So we're doing something. We do something called the love experiment. Go. I'll put it in the show notes. Whatever. So
Yeah.
um, for me, what the love experiment is it is the commitment to bring God into everything.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing in what you're saying, and what, the other thing that we talked about today that was my scary thing, it's like what I see is once we make a commitment to something, these things start to show up. We
Yeah.
can't not see them. And
Yeah.
it's not, we still have the free will to override it. We still have the free
Mm.
will to ignore it. I can
Yeah.
still, as I said, I know there's things I'm being called into here. And it's
Mm.
very much like I know I can say no. But equally, what I know is, okay, I'm in God, but there's some things that are frightening me. Can we sort those out first?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really hearing in what you're saying. And this has been our experience the whole time we've been doing this. I mean, there is absolutely no way we should be warm, have clothes, have a roof out over our head. It's crazy. And
People
yet
make it and do.
every single time, I mean, we're going to Spain, we're going to Viva, we went to Ireland. We had the most amazing time, and we did not live like paupers in Ireland. We did not. And it's literally, how do we even do this? How does this even work? And it
Yeah.
is the seeing. It's beyond logic and comprehension. It really is. And I
Yeah.
guess the whole, one of the reasons everything we do in our business is inviting people in to be like, there's a way to live that is beyond logic and comprehension. And noticing what happens when we are open
Yeah.
for that being called into. Okay, do this, do what God wants you to do. And so
Yeah.
a massive part for me of the love experiment is it's that commitment to, okay, love God. I'm not going to do anything without an okay from that, or without God being involved in everything that I'm doing. Out of curiosity, the love experiment, the Bible tells us this, the seek ye first thing that we're doing. The Bible says to us really clearly, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. So in a way, it's kind of like, really? Okay, let's all right, God, you're up. Let's test that out. Let's see if that is true. So if I invite you into everything that I am doing first,
Yeah.
like it scares me. It doesn't look logic to do it this way. It looks logical. My logic is
Yeah.
telling me to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But what if I go towards you first? What if I ask you, is that what you want me to do? What happens if I seek you first? Are you going to add everything into me? It's
Yeah.
literally like,
Yeah.
and just in this last week, I have been blown away by what has been added to me from the space of being, right, I'm really scared. As I said, having that conversation, I feel embarrassed, ashamed. I don't share where I get stuff from. That's bad on me, whatever you. God, help me with this. God, what shall I do? I'm not, I'm completely screwing that up, messing that up. And God comes along. It just feels like I have been so rewarded for being honest about that. And first of all, I was honest with God. And I know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
terrible thing about you is gonna have to come out. And it's like, okay, all right, but let God make it come out in whatever way that it should. And every time, inside my head now, something's going, oh yeah, everybody will be tuning out this video, everybody will be running away. And what I have noticed with the Seek Ye First, with the other courses we've been doing, with just generally being, all right, I give up God. You want me to talk about you? I'm going to talk about you, going to bring God into our business. It actually feels like our business has shifted, like in the opposite direction
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
one that my logical mind, that
Yeah.
voice tells me will happen. It's like,
Yeah.
no, so
Yeah.
I am massively interested in this whole our God entity, who we were created to be, what we are called to do. And I guess that kind of brings it back round to what we were talking about at the beginning. Some of the stuff that's going on in the world really scares me. Um, but I feel that with this whole God thing, there is something, and I can, as I said, when you look at the threads of our lives, it feels like that
Mm.
was talked about from when I was a child, some of
Yeah.
this stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
there is something to step into here. And I don't even know what it is yet. I guess there's a watch this space. I have
Yeah.
no idea, but it feels like, and definitely last night on the call at the end of that, when God's words there were something real, this isn't the end, something huge has started. And it's
Mm.
like, yeah, I can
Good.
really, really feel that in our business, in what we're up
Yeah.
to, in
Yeah.
this sharing these conversations like this. Like we've never, I mean, I think a couple of times we've sort of thought, I know when we have our deep conversations, we've said, oh my gosh, it would be
Yeah.
so good if we could share those.
Yeah.
So just the idea to, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Is, mhm.
Yeah. And that's everything you're saying there about that it will be added into you. What then happened? So the story continues. So I'd kind of got these little ideas. Oh, I could use the money for this. I could use money. I could use, um, and I definitely one of the things I wanted to use some of the money for was so that we each had a little bit more spending money in Spain next week, because I know we've each got a little bit, but it's almost like we could just do with it. So exactly like you said, we don't want to live like paupers. This isn't about going to Spain and not being able to relax and enjoy the time we have there. So in my mind, there was this kind of, I want us each to have a little bit more spending money, and then I can pay some of the bills as well. And the whole thing, and how we kind of live in trust is, there's still half a week before I've got to pay the rent. And it's like, well, either I can pay the rent, which is half a week away, or I can do the other bills and put a little bit aside for Spain. And it's and definitely in my conversation with God, it feels like there's this thing inside me that says, you've got to do the sensible thing. You can't just swan off and have a nice time in Spain. You've got to do this. And on the one hand, yeah, I genuinely enjoy paying my rent because I love living in my house and having a roof over my
Love
head.
paying bills. I
Yeah,
love
it's like,
money,
oh, that's great. That means I
and
can turn the lights on this week. Oh,
it's
that's good.
such yeah, it's such
Yeah,
fun to
something
pay. Yeah,
about that.
definitely.
And then what happened, what was really interesting was I was kind of talking. I spent most of yesterday, every time it occurred to me, coming back to God and kind of saying, oh, I still haven't kind of got my feeling on this, my clarity on this. So I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to. And then at one point, I walked through the office and Lou said to me, oh, I've got a paint club tomorrow. So, I sit down and do up the invoice. That's nearly another £100 in the bank. And then the next minute she messaged me, oh, my wages on Friday are, and again, nearly another £100. So by the time I went to bed last night, I'd got another 200 something pound in. Oh, and three more people paid Lou for her next art workshop. So nearly another £300 in the bank by the time I went to bed last night, which is enough for us to have an extra £100 each spending money in Spain next week. So it was like, by not rushing and by
Yeah.
keep coming back to God and going, I know my head's saying this. I know my heart, I think my heart is saying, and that was the bit for me. It was like, I'm not clear at this moment
Mm.
if it's my head or my heart. And I know if I rush into this now before I'm clear about that, I'm going to panic and do one thing and not the other. And by the time I went to bed last night, there was the extra money to do all of it, to do like all of the pay all of these bills. I've already got some ready for the rent. I've got some for our spending. And it's like I got up this morning and just felt really clear and really like God had gone, yeah, you kept asking me and kept being patient. You kept trusting
Mm.
me, you kept coming and being honest with me. You sought me first, so I'm going to add a bit more. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
And I'm blown away by that. And even sharing it this morning, I'm like, shit, I don't think I'd actually seen all of the connections of that
Mm.
story from when I first, whatever occurred to me as I went up to the toilet on Sunday to go, God, I want to kind of bring you in a bit more. I don't think I'm doing that well enough here. And
Mm.
from Sunday to today, like that's 4.5 days, the playing out of that has been quite something. I've watched that. That's like, that's fascinating, isn't it? There it is again. Like, this isn't, on the one hand, this is not new to us. We've known this, we've
Mm.
talked about this for 10-ish years. And yet, each time it happens in that kind of way, the way it plays, you're like, oh, you mean bring God into every decision and it'll all be added to me. Oh, why didn't you say that? why didn't we get that? It's so cool, isn't it? And then there's one more thing, and I don't mind if you want to kind of come in at that point and share
No, no, go on if there's one more thing.
barrel on, because this this really excited me. So last night on the call, you quoted Proverbs 3. You might not know this because I don't know if this is ever a story I shared, but when I went traveling in 2006, so for reference, for people watching won't know this, in 2006 I was still a member of my church. And so I went traveling around the world. And as part of that, some of the times I stayed with people, brothers and sisters from my church, people I'd never met, but just happened to live in another country that belonged to the same church. And other times I stayed in youth hostels because they were cheap and low and central to places I wanted to visit. So I did a mixture of both. And I had a little notebook with me. I think I got it on one of the first parts of my trip. And for some reason, I can remember this coming to me as an incredible idea. We used to memorize Bible verses as children, and we called them proofs. I've no idea where that word came from.
No, yeah, yeah.
We had a proof book, so we had a
We
little
did. We
book,
had a
didn't we?
proof
And we would
book. Yeah.
write,
I guess it
we'd
was
write a
proof of
verse.
something, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I might look into where that came. But we would write it out and then recite it at Sunday
I
school.
can see my proof book in
Yeah,
my
me too. Well, I had this notebook. It wasn't a proof book, but it was a notebook while I was traveling. And it just came to me, oh, start writing out some Bible verses and memorize them. So I would sit on my little bunk bed I can picture myself on my top bunk bed with my notebook, reading a verse and memorizing it. And I collected as I traveled. I went to different churches, I went to different youth clubs, I went to events over those 4 months, and I collected up a load of verses and memorized them all night by night as I went to bed. And by the end of my trip, I think I had about 20 something verses I could recite like that. And one of them was Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6, which is what you read out. So as you started reading it last night, it came into my head. I was like, oh, what did I do with all those verses? I wonder what they all were, because there's certain verses I know are from that notebook. The notebook is long gone, but you know me. Obviously, I wrote them down on a Word document somewhere. So I was lying in bed last night and I was like, do I still have the notebook? And something just popped into my head. No, but you have written them down on a document. So I found the Word document while I was lying in bed last night, and I've got all the references and so I got my Bible out this morning and went through each of them and found all the references for these 20 something verses that I memorized in 2006. And some of them I'm like, gosh, I don't remember that one. And ones like Proverbs has really stayed
Can you
with
share
me.
the Proverbs
I
one?
will. I was going to
Yeah,
say, do you
yeah,
want me to read it out?
yeah,
Because it is
absolutely.
such a beautiful, and it
Absolutely.
actually summarizes everything we've been talking about today.
Yeah,
So
go.
it's this. Here we go. I'm going to modernize it slightly because it's it's King James version, but I'm going to read it in a
Yeah,
slightly
I think I read the new King James version
yeah,
for
because
that for the same reason. It's literally like, yeah,
slightly
you
more
know,
modern.
I mean,
So
we have always been King James
yeah, I'm
people,
definitely a King James through and through.
yeah,
But
me too. Definitely a King
if
James
you've
guy.
not read a Bible before, I'll read it in a modern language because it's slightly easier. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge God, and he will direct your paths. And that's just absolutely what we've been talking about. And I remember one of the reasons that is, out of all those verses I memorized nearly 20 years ago, that one has stayed with me almost word for word. Because I know when I was traveling, I was on my own. And yes, I met up with a lot of people, but I
Mm.
was on my own. There was something in that was like, yeah, this
Trust.
travel from this
Yeah, yeah,
space.
from the trust of that.
And
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you need to know.
And like it's
So
very
cool, isn't it?
fascinating, isn't it? Because I think one of the things as human beings, and when we talk about the love and fear stuff,
Mm, mm.
fear, the basis of fear is separation. It's this idea that we're on our own, and that's what makes us scared. And
Yes.
I can, all of this, even what I've shared today about the stuff that's going on for me, it's like it's based in fear and separation. It's like, oh yeah, people won't like you. People pleasing is based in people aren't going to like you anymore. You're going to be on your own.
Mm.
And so for me, that is rooted in not understanding the connection that you have to God.
Yeah.
And once you have that connection to God and really understand and can come back to that connection to God, how can you ever feel alone?
Mm,
You can't.
mm.
And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and that to me, I mean, in the Bible, one of the things that it says all the time is don't be afraid, don't live in fear. And
Mm.
we know when you look at people who have got mental health problems, when you look at people that are struggling in all sorts of ways,
Yeah.
it's based in living in fear. A huge amount of that is based in we're scared. We live in fear all
Yeah.
of the time, and we are taught to live in fear. Be careful of this and watch out for that. And
Yeah.
traveling is a great example.
Yeah.
Do not, as a young woman, go traveling on your own. It is dangerous. Be careful.
Mm.
And then what have you got? A verse that says, "Trust,
Mm.
trust in the Lord,
Yep.
and don't rely on your own understanding."
No.
That is that is the biggest sin we commit, isn't it? That's separation. We rely on our own decisions about what is right and wrong rather than God's decisions about what is right and wrong. Like,
Mm.
should we do this podcast? Should we talk like this? Should we put something like this on YouTube? My head is going, no, 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 that's a no from me. No, with all this God talk, no, 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 who might watch that? And yet God is going, yes, please.
Yes, please.
This,
I really appreciate it.
share this conversation, share this, share more of this. This is going
Yeah.
to be, this is the start. This is one conversation, and there's going to be more. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay. But it's fear based, and it's
Mm.
relying on my own understanding of what
Mm.
I believe to be true. And
Mm.
if you look at the Adam and Eve story,
Mm.
that, I mean, it's epitomized in there. It's like Eve ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And what does that mean? The knowledge of the tree of good and evil, what it means and why God asked them not to eat of that tree was because that's what became that's what happened inside us. If we making the decision to eat from that tree was making the decision to cut God out, to say, I'm not going to listen to your decisions. I am going to make my own decisions. And then the eating of the fruit of that tree caused separation, caused Eve to judge herself as unworthy because she was now the one making the decisions about what is right or wrong. Like, God never judged her in that way. God never judged her or Adam like that. God has never judged us as not good enough. How many times do I judge myself as not good enough? All the time. And that is because I am relying on my own understanding, which is exactly that it says in that verse. Don't rely on your own understanding. My understanding of being good enough says I'm not good enough. I come
Yeah.
up short. So if I
Yeah.
rely on my own understanding of that, I am not good enough.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
don't step
Yeah.
up to your calling.
Mm.
Don't help people. Don't go out in the world the way that you want. Don't run a business the way that you want to run a business because you are not good enough. That's my own understanding. And it's
Yeah.
like, don't rely on that. Don't rely on that understanding. So that is the sin we commit. And that
Mm.
is the sin. Okay, Eve did it then, but we are all invited into that every day. And we are also invited, those verses, they undo that.
Yeah.
That's the undoing of the sin that happened in Genesis.
Mm.
And we have it in our hands all of the time to recommit that sin or not.
Mm.
And the way that we don't, we read
Yeah.
that verse and then it's like, right, okay, let's invite God into everything.
Yeah.
Let's not do this on our own. Let's not rely on our own understanding.
Mm.
Ask God for the wisdom that we need for whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, and that definitely felt for me like that played out in a really beautiful way this week, a really good demonstration. And I know, like, over the years, we've got so many of them.
Oh,
It's like so many examples of times when we have acknowledged and brought God into the conversation and the decision and the judgments or whatever it might be, and the times when we haven't,
yeah.
and the difference between those two, like the
I think it has been a long learning
yeah,
process.
yeah. And even saying that, it's like I don't even think that, oh, that's it. I'm done now.
Oh
I'll
no.
I'll, I'll take this lesson. I'll never forget again. I'll always acknowledge God again. It's like even when all that was happening with the money side of stuff, there was two or three things. Like I went out yesterday afternoon and I left here just after 1 o'clock, and I think I got home about 5 o'clock. So I was out for 4 hours. And about 5:15, I was like, oh, I never even sort of spoke to God before I left the house. I never kind of said, anything, keep me safe, to have me have nice conversation. What, just nothing. I left the house and it was 4 hours later before I was like, oh yeah, God. And it's like, 4 hours,
Yeah.
that's quite small compared to 4 weeks, maybe, which I
Yeah.
might have done in the past. But equally, that's four
4 months,
and
four
a half
years.
hours too long. It's like, oh man. So there, it's like there's this beautiful example with the money stuff that was gorgeous, and God was a part of every moment of that. And there was a whole afternoon where I,
We're so good, aren't we, at asking for things, having an absolute miracle play out
yeah,
right in front of our eyes, and then the next day go,
wrong tide.
yeah,
Yeah.
where's God? God doesn't
Yeah.
care. And then,
Yeah.
God's not in
Yeah.
there. It's like,
Yeah.
oh
Like,
my word. So yeah, hugely we
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
It's
Mad,
crazy.
isn't it? Like
Mm.
the kind of contrast there. And all of that is, there's no kind of berating myself in the sense of,
No, it's not about judgment.
chastisement,
No,
simply a recognition of, oops, there it was.
yeah,
Cool. Okay, let's go again.
and
Trust in
learning.
the Lord with all your heart, and off we go again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do not lean on your
yeah,
own
yeah,
understanding.
yeah. Love it, love it. So yeah, I've
Feels
got
done for the
really
day.
cool Bible verses that I'm going to start sending you, Deb.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely do. Yes,
So cool.
please. Yes, please. Do love a good Bible verse.
A little while back, I did kind of collect up a load of Bible verses, not specifically the ones from when I was traveling. And at some point, I'd kind of got this whole long list of them and thought, eventually, I'm just going to have every single Bible verse on this
Oh,
list.
just have your Bible.
Yeah, because obviously each verse and each thing has something in it. That's why it's there. So in the end, it's like, oh, do you know what? I might just start carrying my Bible around with me. I mean, it's so battered and bruised. You know what's really funny? I'm going to just tell you this one story, and then I think I'm kind of all out unless you've
Yeah,
got
I
a
think
more
yeah,
see.
tell me that now.
Um, I got this Bible when I was about maybe 18, 17, 18, something like that. I've got loads of little random notes and all sorts of scribbles in there. And then when I got baptized and I kind of made the adult choice and commitment to join the church in that way, I went to the church has its own little Bible bookstore, as you know, Deb, the office as it's referred to. And I brought a grown-up Bible. It was kind of this chunky. It was much thicker margins, so you can make notes and I do love that Bible. It's very precious to me as well. But I notice that this is my Bible, whereas the other one's kind of in the wardrobe for special occasions. It's like, isn't it funny? Like this was this is my Bible. And I love it. I love it. It's really cute. And it really is. I'm surprised it hasn't actually fallen apart yet, but it will in the next 20 years probably. This one went round the world with me.
Oh,
Yeah, which
cute.
is quite precious, isn't it? So
Very,
it's
very
funny
nice.
that, isn't it? How it's like I did get my grown-up Bible when I, became the adult and all the rest of it, but still there's something about this one that's
Mm, I hear you.
precious.
I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you've enjoyed that, if you've got any questions, do ask questions. Do let us know if you've enjoyed this. Do let us know if you want more of this because, I'm up for it if you are.
Well, we're never going to stop having conversations. So really
Absolutely.
the only
No.
question is anyone going to watch them?
Yeah.
Um, so who
Let's
knows?
see.
But
Let's see.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Steph. That was great.